Sorry, Esther.
Another talk. I hope I can keep you awake for another 20 minutes or so. My name is Esther Gabor. I'm heading the technical unit of Microbial Strain Development. And Arian asked me to shine a spotlight on what we are doing in R&D to make it a bit more tangible, maybe. And I like to talk about sustainability. So the topic fits quite well, and I will give you some insights into the sustainable food production using microbial fermentation. I think, as you heard a lot this morning, is sustainable food production is at the heart of what we are doing at BRAIN Biotech. So we develop enzymes, we manufacture enzymes, we sell them to the food markets. That's already the first part of the story. But using microorganisms themselves gives a lot of more opportunity because they can do interesting things as well. And as you learned, I mean, enzymes are metabolites. They are products produced by microorganisms. So we have this expertise. We have the scientists that are not only experts in enzymes, but they are also very good microbiologists. And we want to take advantage of this fact and explore even further markets. But coming back to sustainable food production, I think this is a topic, this is not only of importance for us as BRAIN Group, as a company, but it should be of importance to all of you in this audience, because we are living on this planet and we want to have a good life also in future. But as you all know, we have to deal with climate change and safe harbor. But there's one thing you may not know, and this is that more than 30% of the greenhouse gas emissions are caused by food production, or actually by agriculture and food production. And this is really, really huge. This is more than any other sector emits worldwide. So why is that? So around about 50% of those greenhouse gas emissions in that field, they come from agriculture, so from production of fertilizers, bringing the fertilizers to the field. This will result in a lot of emissions of greenhouse gases, not only CO2, but even worse, of nitrous oxides. And the other 50% of those greenhouse gas emissions are caused by meat production in the end. So probably you are all aware of this, that meat production causes a lot of emissions. So 1 kilogram of chicken, of poultry, I think this causes the emission of 10 kilograms of CO2. But if you switch to beef, this is even more extensive because 1 kilogram of beef production emits 100 kilograms of CO2. So this is massive, and we have to reduce it, and everybody can make the biggest impact on its personal carbon footprint by changing the diet a little bit towards a more plant-based nutrition, because this is more efficient. And we need to become more efficient. This is really important because, as you may know again, our population on the world is growing. We are with 8 billion today. We will be with almost 10 billion in 25 years. And that means that we need to produce much more nutrients, not only proteins, as it's mentioned here, but also vitamins, micronutrients. We will have a lack of that in the future. And so we need to increase production while reducing the greenhouse emissions at the same time. And in such a situation, you may become really desperate because the challenge is really, really huge. And then I think it's always good to remember that here we are biotechnologists. And this gives a good feeling because we can do something about it. I mean, food is pure biology. So the biotechnology should be the technology that can do something about it, that can be part of the solution. And I think you already heard a lot in the talk of Alex and Andy about the enzymes, also about the microorganisms, the bioprocesses. So all what we are doing here at BRAIN can contribute to a more sustainable food production. You may remember those pictures Alex have shown a minute ago. So these gel pictures with big black bands of protein that is produced. So we are working on projects where we produce with our production strains animal proteins in microorganisms. And this is what we call precision fermentation. So This is the rocket science, let's say, in biotechnology we are doing here in the group. But what I want to talk about today is something that is probably more close to you, and this is the topic of fermented food. I think you all know fermented foods. Probably you consume them every day. If you if you eat some yogurt or some cheese, you drink a wine or a beer, if you eat some bread, that's all fermented food. So where you use microorganisms to convert, in the end, some plant material into something nice and healthy. And the reason why those traditional fermented food products have evolved over the decades or the hundreds and thousands of years is that fermentation gives some benefits to the food. Microbes, when they ferment the food products, they produce either ethanol, alcohol, or acids, and that would prevent molds from growing on the food. So this preserves the food, it extends the shelf life. The second benefit is that microbes, they already start to degrade the product, so the digestibility is higher. And while microorganisms grow on the food, they will also produce some healthy metabolites like micronutrients, vitamins, so they make the food healthy. And this is what mankind learned over the centuries. And what we can do today is to employ the very same technology to solve some even more exciting issues, because microorganisms cannot only convert the high quality agricultural products like fruits or vegetable grains, but they can easily transform waste streams of agriculture to nice products in the end. So they are very modest. They also grow on like peels and shells and husks and make something nice of it. And we want to employ that. So to give you a very concrete example from our current research, I'm working together with my team and a bunch of winemakers on a project where we want to make the vineyard more circular. So we do not only want to take the grapes out of the vineyard, but we want to also use all the side streams that are produced in the vineyard. And the winemakers we are working together with, they are very much into sustainability because they have specialized on certain wine breeds, and they are called fungal resistant wine breeds. In German it's PV, pilzwiderstandsfähige breeds. And they have the advantage that you don't need to spray those wine breeds as often as conventional wine breeds. So maybe you don't know, but wine is one of the products with a really bad environmental footprint, because you need to go to the vineyard and spray like 10 times, sometimes even 15 times per year. So that's a lot of pesticides in the vineyard. If you're working with those fungal resistant wine breeds, 2 to 3 times spraying is sufficient. So that's good because this reduces the amount of pesticides you need. And this opens up a window of opportunity because you have time windows during the year where you can take products from the vineyard and make food out of it without intoxifying the people who consume it, because the material is not sprayed. And the third nice thing about those wine breeds is that the leaves, they have a very nice flavor, actually. So they have a very characteristic flavor profile, which is much related to the flavor of the grapes that you can take from the vineyard. And this is where our whole story started, because we talked to those winemakers and we thought we should be able to make something nice out of this actual waste stream. We want to make a high quality product. What could it be? So we thought it's the vineyard, so let's make a beverage. Let's try to make a beverage out of those wine leaves, but we don't want to be into competition with the wine, which is the primary product of the winemakers. So let's make it non-alcoholic, because this follows, again, a market trend, which is highly appreciated. As you may know, people don't want to drink that much alcohol anymore. So that was the goal that we set ourselves like 2 years ago. So by now we had 2 wine leaf harvests. The first one was in 2023. That was still a hand picking. You see it here on the pictures. People in the vineyard harvesting leaves in early May, just after the blossom of the vineyards, when you need to take off the leaves anyhow. But the problem is this won't result in an economical process. So the next year, So this year, 2024, the winemakers invented a machinery like a mesh box. They can attach it to their cutting equipment. So they go with the tractor, with the machines. They go to the vineyards, they drive along the rows, they cut the leaves, and now with this mesh box, they can also collect the leaves and bring it to the winery. And in the winery, we prepare kind of a tea, like a cold tea. We call it infusion out of the wine leaves. So we immerse the wine leaves in water for like 2 days. And then you get a very nice infusion. It smells nice. You wouldn't like to drink it, but it's a good start already. And so after filtration, you get a cleared beverage, or not the beverage, but the infusion. We fill it into vessels, into kegs. And this is where the job of BRAIN actually starts. So here, our microbiology expertise come into the game. So my team was screening for yeast in our strain collection that can make something nice of this crude infusion. So that can bring about nice aroma compounds, a nice flavor, a nice taste. And at the same time, not produce any alcohol, as would happen in normal, if you just use a normal wine yeast, they would produce alcohol again. So we did a screening in our labs, just a short representation of that. We did it on a small scale experiments, and we found out, we can produce something nice out of this wine leaf infusion. And currently we are in the progress of scaling it together with the winemakers. We are not doing that at BRAIN, we are the biotechnologists, so we have our partners for this. And they are currently bringing this protocol to the fermenters, and we will have a first prototype of 1,000 bottles by next year to present it to the customers. So this is just an example to show you what's possible, how you can make something nice out of waste streams by using microbial fermentation. So yeah, I think this is actually in general the power of fermentation. You can create products with a good taste, which are healthy and which can be produced sustainably. Just to give you some more examples that you already know from your kitchen, I mentioned that before. For instance, in sauerkraut, you know this. This is produced from cabbage by a traditional fermentation process. So you use lactic acid bacteria, they will produce acid that makes the cabbage shelf stable, that give it a nice taste, makes it healthy. So this is a very traditional product where you use microorganisms in. Another example, which is even nicer because you can employ both enzymes as well as microorganisms, is sourdough bread. Also in sourdough bread, you use lactic acid bacteria, and you can combine them with yeast to give a very special taste that you probably all know to the sour bread. And you can vary the taste by the microorganisms you use for the fermentation process. And by combining this fermentation process with the use of specific enzyme, you can also influence some other characteristics of the bread, like the raising behavior, the browning behavior. So this is actually, I think, a very nice example of what you can do in the field of fermented food by combining microorganisms with enzymes. In some applications, when it comes to plant-based milk, for instance, you do not even need the microorganisms. There you usually have to deal with a kind of a bitter taste that comes with the plant-based milks. You can easily remove that by using specific enzymes, and by coincidence, they are at sale at biocatalysts. But when you, for instance, want to prepare a plant-based milk based on peas or beans, you have to deal with this nasty beany off taste that most people don't like. And actually, if you would incorporate a fermentation step in the production process of the plant-based milk, then you could easily remove that off taste. And this is what we offer to our customers. And as I mentioned before, the nice thing is you have a big playground now. We have agricultural high-quality products that can be converted by fermentation. We have the side stream, pumice shells, peels, spent grains from brewing. There's a whole range of ways when you start to think about it. And you can prepare exciting products from it. Sweeteners, plant-based dairy, I mentioned before, alternative coffee, a lot of things you can do with it. We have the expertise to support the customers in developing those kind of products, and we have the resources. The expertise, just to comment on this first, I mean, we have this at BRAIN R&D since 30 years already. So we have the laboratories, we have the capabilities to do microbial screenings, to do enzyme screenings, identify the right microbe for the right, for the right substrate. And then we can also produce prototypes for our customers in a regulated environment because we have all the know-how of this due to our application experts in the group. And then finally, we can also assist the customers in evaluating the prototypes and the products that we have created, either by using their expert panels for taste evaluation or by setting up our own taste panels here within the R&D teams. So we can support new product development of our customers right from the start, from early R&D to prototypes until the final product. And yeah, we have done that in the past several times. And just to show you a few showcases, one of them I have already elaborated on it, is the wine leaf case that you see on the right-hand side. And here actually we support our partners in following the market trend of not creating any waste stream. So we can enable the customers to follow their zero waste strategies. And I have shown you how that may work. Another market trend can be, or is for sure, clean label. So consumers now follow the trend. They want to consume natural products. They don't want to read long ingredient lists on the back of their food packages. And here again, we can profit from a nice feature of microbial fermentation, and this is that microbial fermentation changes multi-parameters in a food at the same time. So microbial fermentation has an impact on the taste, on the aroma, on the texture, on the mouthfeel. So we don't need to add a lot of single ingredients to the foods, but we just do the microbial fermentation. And we have showcased this together with a big industrial partner in the development of a natural sweetener based on a fermented stevia tea again. So similar technology to what we have done in the vineyard. And the third product, I think maybe this is the most interesting for you because you can taste it during the lunch break. So we have developed a new product together with a startup company. What we have developed there, or what the company has developed by our help and by our microorganisms, by using our microorganisms, is non-alcoholic sparkling wine. And this is actually what a lot of people are looking for. This company, they're called Juicy River. They state it's the best non-alcoholic wine in the world. I don't know, I tend to be a bit more modest, but I can promise you it's quite good and you can taste it later on yourself. So what we have added to this project is the microorganisms again. And I want to say something about this resource. It's only one slide, but it's a lot of work in it. So my food team, they have been out collecting microorganisms from a lot of artisanally fermented traditional foods. So there are a lot of fermented foods to find in Asia. There are a lot of fermented food also in Europe, in all parts of the world. And we isolated microorganisms from those fermented foods and collected a really, I think it's a unique collection of microorganisms, of food-grade microorganisms. It's not so much the number. I think here it states more than 750 microorganisms, and this is for sure true. But it's not the number that is important here, but it's the diversity of organisms. We have bacteria, we have yeasts, we have fungi, edible as mushrooms and filamentous fungi, and many different species of that. And I think this is rarely found elsewhere. I'm sure other companies have those organisms in their freezer as well, but they don't give access to it to customers, and this is what we do. So if customers are doing a project with us as a CRO, they have the option to access this collection and use this and license strains for their own applications. Yeah, and as I mentioned before, microbial fermentation fits very well together with enzyme, with using enzymes in fermented foods. And we have a lot of expertise here. We have a lot of products here already in the market for the more conventional application, but it's an easy thing for our application experts we have as brain biocatalysts to adapt those enzyme products also to new application. So that's a really nice fit, using the enzymes and the microbes together, and we can do that all under one roof. So I think that can be very powerful in supporting our customers in their new product development. So to sum this up, I hope that I could already convince you a little bit that fermented food offers countless options, possibilities for new product development. And we are very well positioned as a brain biocatalyst, since we can actually supply all you need to develop those foods. We have the resources, enzymes, we have the microorganisms, and we can develop the processes. So when it comes to modifying very specific properties of a product, it's often a good choice to just use an enzyme, because enzymatic fermentation is really easy from a process perspective. So this is very well established. And even if we don't have an enzyme in our shelves already, we can, as you learned from Alex before, we can find new enzymes with our enzyme discovery pipeline, so with MedExtra. When it comes to more complex characteristics that you want to change at the same time, then the microorganisms and the microbial fermentation is very attractive. And as I just showed you a minute before, we have this nice collection of food microorganisms in our hand that we can use to develop new fermented products. And last but not least, I think the real beauty of what we have here is that we can harvest all the synergies between our enzyme expertise and our expertise in microbiology to support our customers in all instances. So this is where we are. I hope you have understood a little bit why we talk about the power of fermentation and why I'm quite excited about it. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. No questions. Oh, I ran out of time.
Maybe one question, and then we move to the break. We're slightly behind.
Just quickly, for example, when you talk about your example with the wine leaf project, yes. How do you monetize something like this? Just to get a better understanding, is this a one-off, this is research, you do that, and then you get a payment, or is there some recurrent revenue, which is Mr. Schneider's most favorite word?
Yeah, of course, this is what we are aiming for also in this project. So, so we have created some IP, and here it's a plan to license this IP to the winemakers. We're currently discussing the concrete business model together with them, but there will be some reoccurring revenues also from this project as well. And I think this holds true as a general rule also for all the microorganisms we identified in our food collection. We will license them to our customers, so there are these reoccurring revenues. Yes.